Hi everyone. We are happy to host our next event together with Petro today, and I will be your moderator for this event. So briefly about Strix Capital and what we are building today with the guys. So Strix Capital is a digital asset investment and advisory firm that focus on Web3 investments. And the Strix Club is a community of individuals with whom we are investing in Web3 startups together. You are free to join us in our social media, follow us, and invest together. I would like to also present myself and Petro. I'm a general partner at Strix Capital. Before I was running a company in Alping area. And since 2018, I'm actively investing in different type of assets, especially in Web3 startups. Petro is also working with us in our team. He's a senior investment analyst. And together with Petro, every month we analyzing up to 120 startups in Web3 space. So I will give the floor to Petro. Welcome. We will be happy to hear more from your side today.
Hello, Taras, and hello, everyone. Thank you for this warm introduction and happy to be here. So I'll start to present my screen and we will look into the state of decentralized applications from 2022. Okay, and before we start, I want to give credits to our investment analyst intern who was helping to prepare this article, and we've made it together. So kudos to you, Ivan, and let's start. So today's topic is state of decentralized applications. We will look at summary of 2022 at different metrics, and by the end of article we will define a few trends for 2023. So let's start from this infographic. Here we can see that for a total value locked metric, the dominant is Ethereum. Around 60% of all applications are currently running on Ethereum network. And if we add here Ethereum scaling solutions like Arbitrum and Optimism, this percentage is even more than 60. In terms of daily active users, the preferences were tied to DeFi and NFT trading. As we see, the top protocol was PancakeSwap, and PancakeSwap is a decentralized exchange for Binance Smart Chain. For example, OpenSea, which is the NFT marketplace, have seen a lot of users' preferences at the beginning of 2022, where we've been seeing a trend for NFTs. In terms of fully diluted valuation, which is the total value of tokens that are existing in protocol and tokens that will be minted in the future. Leaders here are Chainlink, Uniswap, and BitDAO. So we can see that niches like infrastructure and DeFi are leading in terms of size. And something interesting, if we look at cumulative revenue for 2022, absolute leaders here are OpenSea and Luxrare, which are actually the NFT marketplaces. So the revenue for them was big, and the almost 80% of this revenue was made in first quarter of 2022, when NFT were still trending and trading volumes for NFTs was really big. Okay, moving down the article. So a short introduction to what we will discuss today. So we need to understand that the ecosystem of decentralized application is big, and it was growing really fast during the previous market cycle and previous bull run. But in 2022, middle of 2022, when situation around economy was tight and the crypto bear market started, there were some challenges to this ecosystem, and today we would like to look more deeper into various metrics to understand how it actually, the recession and overall economic situation are impacting the decentralized application ecosystem. So let's start with agenda. So actually, we will look at executive summary to summarize what happened in 2022 and highlight some key metrics. Then we will look closely into various metrics and discuss them more in detail. We will then look at top decentralized applications and review their milestones from 2022. And as I mentioned, by the end, we will have trends for 2023 in terms of niches and industry in which we can look closer currently. So
Cool.
For summary,
I will
yes.
Stop you here for a minute and ask our audience to write any comments or questions in chat. During our live stream, we will try to answer your questions. Petr will help you to understand better future trends, so feel free to send anything in chat. It will definitely help us to promote such live streams in the future. And at the same time, we will be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Absolutely. Feel free to ask anything. I would be more than happy to answer it. So let's continue. For the top decentralized application by circulating market cap, and the main difference between circulating market cap and fully diluted valuation is that CMC is calculated only for tokens, for liquid tokens that are currently in supply. So the biggest dApps were Uniswap, Chainlink, and Lida. And what is interesting, if we look at Chainlink, only 51% of its token supply is liquid. So more token will be unlocked in the future. And the next quite interesting metric is TVL, total value locked. And if you look to the overall comparison of 75% decrease in TVL across DeFi industry, some top protocols like Lido, which we will look into today, lost significantly less value than the total market on average. The absolute leader by cumulative earnings is OpenSea, with astonishing 445 million, and we will understand why it is and what are the key metrics that allow them to get this number. As we mentioned, preferences for users were tied to NFT marketplaces and DEXs. And by the end, we look at the metrics, which is called developer activity, to understand what is actually happening behind the scene of crypto market during the bear market. So let's start with daily FDV. And we already know how this metric is calculated and for what it stands. So let's look at this chart, and we can see that in comparison to some projects from infrastructure niche like the Graph or a balancer, we can see that a project like Chainlink, which is an Oracle service provider, and some big DeFi project like Uniswap are significantly bigger in terms of token value. But if you look in total number of fully diluted valuation of top decentralized application, we might notice a significant drop from 50 billion to 30 billion. And as we might see from the start of this year, the recovery already started. And the projection for 2023 is that the drop that was happened in previous year will be recovering through the 2023. In comparison to FDV, leaders by circulating market cap were quite similar, but here we also can see Lida Finance, which is actually a liquid staking provider for proof of stake blockchains. So they grew quite significantly in recent quarters because we've seen the update for Ethereum, which is switched to a proof of stake, and now the big amount of operations that are happening on Lido Finance applications are tied to staking on Ethereum network. And we can see the total circulating market cap of decentralized applications fluctuated from 20 to $15 billion, and top projects were Lido Finance, Chainlink, and Uniswap. And here, similar to FDV, we see the recovery starting from 2023, and this recovery is projected to continue during this year. In terms of total value locked, and to remind you what it actually means, it's a total value that is locked inside the decentralized finance protocols. For example, if you have a protocol as lending platform, all liquidity that is locked inside the platform is called total value locked, and this metric allows to compare the size of various DeFi applications. And based on this metric, the leader here is the same, is Lido, and we can see that this project will face major updates coming in the beginning of this year and this quarter, and we will review these updates soon with you. So if you look in total TVL numbers from previous year, we might see that they significantly decreased in the past year, and this decreasing started in May 2022, where we've seen the crash of Luna. But since then, the TVL stabilized, and we've also been seeing the slight growth in TVL. In terms of daily cumulative earnings for the previous year, the absolute leader in comparison to other projects is OpenSea. And why it is? Because, as we discussed, the trend for NFT at the beginning of 2022 was big, trading volume was huge, but also additional thing why earnings for OpenSea are so high is that currently there is no token on OpenSea project, and there are no plans to building tokens, so it allows to keep earnings inside the OpenSea itself and don't distribute everything across the token holders. So it allows them to have these big earnings, and almost all revenue is actually a profit for them. And you can see that if you look at cumulative earnings for all protocols, they were quite high until the May of 2022, which actually can be considered as a start of severe bear market. And since then, earnings for all platforms are on really low level. But in terms of daily active users, the picture here is quite different. We can see that from metrics, the most users remain on trading, and yes, we see this OpenSea that is quite a leader for last year, but as we mentioned, this user activity was tied to first quarter of 2022. During second, third, and fourth quarter, activity on NFT marketplaces was decreased by more than 90%. But in total, we can see that in comparison to lost in a market cap and in a fully diluted valuation and also TVL, the activity of users is relatively remains stable. So despite the downturn in value of investments, activity is actually almost the same. And another matrix which highlights this phenomena that projects are still building on blockchain is developers' activity. We can see that from the summer of 2022, the activity of developers is only slightly decreased. In comparison to the loss of value, it's really small decrease, and activity keeps the same here. And now, after these metrics, we will switch to key milestones of some big projects to understand what is actually happening in big ecosystem and what are they building and trying to achieve. So we will start with Ethereum name service, and 2022 was a record-breaking year for them. So according to data, over 2.2 million ENS names were registered in 2022, and it stands for 80% of all names that have been created in the protocol's lifetime. And additionally, this spike was seen in May, July, and August because we've seen the decrease in overall crypto market value, and therefore we've seen the drop in gas fees. So Ethereum fees were lower, and the activity inside it was higher due to these fee drops. And if you look at Uniswap actually remains strong, and trading on this protocol was quite active because we've seen the overall crypto market declined more than 50%, but in terms of Uniswap, trading volume were down only 8%, and it's partly due to the crash on centralized exchanges. For example, due to crash of FTX, in that DEXs are actually catching up and receiving more share of trading volume, and companies and applications like DYDX, JMX, and perpetual traders are actually leading derivatives, and they are catching in volume and taking a part of volume from centralized exchanges. Also, 2022 was a good year for aggregation protocols, as we might see that in Q4, FTX contagion shifted user behavior toward more decentralized solutions, and aggregation protocols are one of these solutions. So volume during the 2022 remained relatively stable. We've seen only slight decrease quarter over quarter. And the biggest aggregation protocol here was 1inch. And this foundation didn't award any grants in Q4, but approximately 1 million in 1inch token was distributed in grants through 2022. So we might see that they are trying to accumulate the capital, and these distribution of these grants is seems to be happen in 2023 heavily. Another big application is Chainlink, and we've seen that despite the overall crypto market depression, Chainlink has quite productive and busy year. So they received a lot of demand from Ethereum layer 2s like Arbitrum, which is the biggest Ethereum scaling solution in terms of total value locked. We've also seen numerous integrations with various blockchains such as Avalanche, BNB Chain, Harmony, Moonbeam, and Optimism. Also, we've seen that Polygon and Solana were starting to actively use Chainlink. And also, 2022 was good for Chainlink because they launched a staking for its token. But in comparison to some other assets, Link as a token wasn't quite a good investment for 2022, despite all these updates. And finishing our article with trends for 2023, as promised, let's start from artificial intelligence, because it's now quite the biggest trend currently, and everyone is talking about it. And we've seen that at first text generators such as ChatGPT and image processors like Midjourney, where you're just putting a simple prompt and receiving quite astonishing images. They sparked a lot of public interest. And unlike the promise of self-driving cars, which we had with artificial intelligence previously, these applications are currently ready for a commercial deployment. And we know for blockchain that aside from digital cash, it can be used for managing distributed computing resources. So we've seen protocols like Filecoin, which is a distributed cloud storage, and also Render Network, which is used to distribute graphics computing power. One thing here for interaction between artificial intelligence and blockchain is that in current situation and current state of technology, it's quite impossible to run AI on a blockchain because it will be really, really slow and expensive. And it's hard to imagine how AI actually will be integrated into blockchain technology soon. But there are projects, and for example, SingularityNet and something similar, they have answer for this problem, and how they are building their product is that they are trying to decentralize the usage and utility of the off-chain AI technology. Well, they are not integrating AI technology into the blockchain. They are just doing what blockchain is actually created and what is good for this decentralization. And just to confirm the trend for you, you can take a look at the price performance of this project SingularityNet token after we've seen the Microsoft and OpenAI, which is the creator of ChatGPT, 10 billion investment rumor. So you can see that here was the first discussion regarding this big investment. And since then, the price of the token goes almost 6x from the beginning. The next trend is Move ecosystem. So Move actually is a programming language which was created by DM Association. It was a tech project backed by Facebook or Meta right now. And in simple terms, we can review several advantages of Move language over the Solidity, which is used for building smart contracts on EVM blockchains. So we've seen that Move can be more have more safety, and also it has built-in asset handling, which allow developers to write smart contracts that manage digital assets, and it is really easier for them to use Move to build this type of smart contract. And also, the most significant for Move, it's built to be more performant than Solidity, which means that smart contracts built on Move can execute faster transactions and they are more scalable. So overall, it's designed to be more efficient and secure compared to Solidity. And currently, we have two big projects with their own ecosystem, which are building on Move language. And the first one is Aptos. And we should highlight here that they have quite different approach, because Aptos launched their mainnet on 12th of October, and the launch was paid by the airdrop of Aptos token for community to spike the interest in ecosystem. And at first, the interest was really big. Everyone was talking about Aptos and bringing money into the ecosystem. But currently, total value locked across Aptos ecosystem stands on 61 million. And if we compare the metrics of transaction per second, number of validators, and transaction fees between testnet metrics and mainnet, they are way, way better on testnet than currently. But it's still worth monitoring the development of Aptos, because we've seen that it is backed by almost all top-tier Web3 investors and funds. And another project which is called Sui, and it is built by an organization which is called Miston Labs. So they are preparing to launch their mainnet somewhere in Q1, Q2 2023. There are just rumors and currently not confirmed, but community are expecting to project be released on mainnet at the beginning of Q2. And currently they are running a second phase of the testnet. And if you look at the numbers of activity from the first wave, they are really, really astonishing, because we've seen that more than 300,000 addresses were registered on the testnet networks, and there were in total more than 11 million transactions handled. And it can be understood from the perspective that all a big amount of testers and community which are interacting with Sui testnets are expecting to receive an airdrop in the future. And the activity looks like this. For Ethereum scaling solutions, which is the last trend for today, you probably heard that on Ethereum, transactions, especially during the bull markets, are relatively slow and quite expensive. So we can expect around 20 transactions per second from Ethereum network. But if you look at scaling solutions, layer 2 blockchains built on top of Ethereum network, they are aiming to increase the speed and decrease fees. So basically using scaling solutions of Ethereum, like the biggest one of Arbitrum or Optimism, you can conduct more faster transactions, and the fees are in terms of few cents currently. And if we look at the value locked, which is distributed across the Ethereum scaling solutions, it currently stands at around 5.6 billion, and it was in decrease since the top of previous bull market. But in comparison to decrease in other metrics, TVL is remained quite stable, because here we've seen the TVL around 7 billion on top of the previous market cycle, and currently it is at 5.6. So it's quite understandable that the trend is here to stay, and the TVL is growing and projected to grow in 2023. And also to confirm it, we will look at some updates from 2022 from the biggest project. And we will start with Polygon, which is actually can be considered as a layer 2 scaling solutions for Ethereum, because at first it was launched as a side chain for Ethereum, but currently they are having their own consensus mechanism and can be considered more like a competitor to Ethereum at current stage. But if you look at the past, Polygon is definitely one of the biggest driver of Ethereum scaling. So updates for Polygon from previous year is that they hit 200 million addresses. It was their main milestone, and also their technology was integrated into Reddit's digital collectibles. So social network Reddit was building NFTs inside the app using Polygon technology. And something similar was happening with Meta's Instagram and their plans to integrate NFT. So currently they are doing it in closed beta. So some of Instagram community are receiving access to testing NFT integration in Instagram. And this technology is also built on top of Polygon blockchain. But if you look at their token, perspective for Matic token, which is native token of this blockchain, is also quite good, because starting from 2023, it entered in the list of top 10 most purchased tokens among the 100 biggest Ethereum holders, which are called whales. Another project, which is a true layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum, called Arbitrum, and actually it's the biggest in terms of TVL. Some updates for them are that during 2022, they've launched Arbitrum Nova, which is a chain dedicated to social and gaming application. But actually the biggest update for them was a Nitro upgrade to Arbitrum 1. So it increased the throughput of the network, and scaling is happening more and more, and transaction speed is quite faster due to this upgrade. And also one big milestone was integration of Arbitrum to OpenSea. So currently you can go to OpenSea and trade NFTs on Arbitrum network. Another project which is quite big also in terms of total value locked is Optimism. And we can see that the total value of assets held on Optimism increased almost 10 times since the beginning of 2022. And it goes from 116k ETH to almost million ETH held in the same of 12 months period. They've built 54 new decentralized applications on top of Optimism network since the start of 2022. And also, Optimism can be considered as a DAO with its own governance mechanism. And we can see that more than 150,000 wallets are currently delegating 23 million Optimism token in governance and deciding how the protocol will be updated and built in the future. So there are the metrics that we would like to show with you today. And if you want to find additional metrics and some interesting insights for you, please join our social media and you will find a lot of interesting stuff here. So thank you. Taras, my word to you.
Thank you, Petro. It was really interesting presentation from your side, and thank you, Ivan, for preparing such a strong article. We have actually a couple of questions from our audience, and at the same time, I want you to ask to add anything from your side. Feel free to post comment here in the chat on LinkedIn or in YouTube. And as Petro mentioned, subscribe to our social channels. We are posting a lot of insights in our LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, Medium. So follow us and let's be in touch. I will move to the questions and comments from our audience. So first question is coming more about OpenSea case. So Petro, could you please elaborate the OpenSea case? How can they earn by not having tokens outside? I may misunderstand. Person is asking in the chat.
Of course. So actually, OpenSea is earning from the fees on trading volume. So while you are trading NFTs on OpenSea, you are paying a 5% fee for each trade. And this fee is directly going into the OpenSea itself, and it is the profit for them. So this revenue can be considered as a profit because it shouldn't be distributed among any token holders, because as I mentioned, OpenSea is not having any token yet and is not planning to have it in the future. So all revenue or profit which has happened on the platform is going directly to the team or, for example, shareholders of the OpenSea.
Cool.
I hope
Thank you,
it
Petro.
answers your question.
Jessica asked to share a link to the document, and as far as I checked our chat, Dima Foremny just shared it with you, so feel free to find a comment from Dima, and you can visit our Medium and take a look on this article more precise later on. So let's move to our next question from Sebastian. Why isn't Polygon Matic considered a side chain and not as Optimism? What's the main difference between them?
Yes, it is a good question. Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. As I mentioned, Polygon was built as a side chain for Ethereum, but currently they are having their consensus mechanism. So actually there are nodes that are running on top of Polygon network to secure the safety of the network. If we look at Optimism, the main difference is that Optimism is a layer 2 on top of Ethereum. So the security of Optimism is dependent from the security of Ethereum. So the main difference is that Polygon is having its own consensus mechanism, while Optimism and other scaling solutions like Arbitrum are not having it and rely heavily on the Ethereum network. And while Polygon relying on its own network, it can have a quite bigger scalability. But if we look at comparison of decentralization between Ethereum and Polygon and scaling solutions of Ethereum, decentralization for them are quite bigger, and Polygon isn't as much decentralized.
Cool. Thank you, Petro, for your answer. Before coming to our next question, I would like to mention that together with our team, we just launched our fourth cohort of investment study course. So if you would like to get more knowledge, experience, how to analyze startups in Web3, to get better understanding how to analyze data and not to have any problems and scams in Web3 space, please join us. Feel free to text me or Oksana. We will be more than happy to answer your questions and invite you to our study course. You can join our fourth cohort, it just launched, or you can take 5. I believe we will start it maybe in next 2 months. So feel free to touch base with me or with Oksana Wodonos, who is a leader and our main person responsible for a study course. So coming to our next question from Retush. Do you think gaming tokens trend carry on 2023?
Yes, thank you. It is a good question, and we should understand that gaming trend is more like a trend for bull market until there will be a sustainable economy inside the gaming industry. And answering your question, is this trend is going to carry on 2023? I believe we might see some new games which will be launched in by the end of 2023, where we will be expecting the upcoming of the next bull run. And I believe that some projects will came up with the idea of building sustainable economy, and it will show the new trend for GameFi. So I'm expecting it will expand dramatically by the end of 2023. Hope it answers your question, Ratush. Taras, are you with us?
Yeah, maybe I'm having some problems with internet. Do you hear me better right now?
Yes, now I'm here. Well, we can hear.
Cool. So let's move to our next. So who's carried out all the development activities in 2022 if the number of developers decreased slightly?
Yes, let's look another one time into the developers graph. It's quite good built to understand how it distributes among the developers. So we can see that during 2022, the slight decrease in development was among all projects. So we haven't seen the project that was dramatically decreased in development. And here are some top projects that were acquired the most number of developers. So we've seen the development of Chainlink and Gitcoin, and it stands for more than 15% of the total number of developers. But also in Uniswap, Aave, and the Graph were the leaders by the number of developers. And by the way, we are writing and preparing an overview article on the developers' activity from 2022, and we will be more than happy to share it with you and discuss in detail in our next live events. So stay tuned to it.
Let me check if we have any other questions from our audience. Ritush is just adding that I believe play finance model can solve the existing issue with play to earn model. So yeah, maybe happy to connect with you also. So we are really open to different cooperations, and any ideas from your side, feel free to reach out to anyone from our team, and let's cooperate. I really like in Web3 that all companies, teams, and individuals, they are ready to make an impact and make a difference. So it's really important to collaborate and build something great together. Petra, do you want to add anything from your side?
I think it was quite insightful even for me to answer the questions from industry, and we are waiting you guys on our next event on the next week. So join us. We will discuss more insightful things, and we'll be happy to see everyone here and answer questions for our audience. So thank you so much for today's attention. And if you can make outro here, Taras, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have probably last question from our audience. Is there any dApps that are into CBDC, and what do you think about CBDC overall?
Okay, I'll try to take it. I haven't seen any dApps that are trying to somehow build on increase the adoption of central bank digital currency. And personally, I'm not a big fan of it because I believe in Web3 and the whole blockchain technology as a way of decentralization. And if we talk about central bank digital currency, it's more like a way to digitalize existing money with their disadvantages. But in my opinion, it's inevitable. We will see CBDC in the future, and we already see them in some African countries, and even some Latin American countries are trying to adopt this technology. So it's inevitable, but as I said, I'm not a true believer of CBDC.
Thank you, Petro, for answer. I would like to add from our side that if you have any interesting topics to share with us, or do you see any topic that we can cover in our next meeting with you, please share it with us. Feel free to text in a private message or here in the chat. So we will be more than happy to write an article or to present something that will be really useful for you. Meanwhile, we wish you to have a really great weekend ahead, and see you next time. Thank you, Petro, for your presentation, and thank you, Ivan, for preparing this article. It was really insightful for everyone.
Yes, thank you, Taras, for having me. Enjoy your weekend, guys, and see you next week.
Cool.